Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to yet another edition of our virtual coffee hours. I'm State Senator Mallory McMorrow. Really good to be with you. We are changing up our format a little bit to make sure we can hit you over the next 20-30 minutes with as much information as possible and also be respectful of your time and get you on to your weekend. So first up, I want to announce some great news out of Oakland County. Oakland County has surpassed the 60% vaccination rate of eligible residents receiving at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, which is awesome news. And that gets us closer to our goal of getting safely back to normal. So just a reminder, I shared this last week. What does that mean for us? So Oakland County, we're at 60% vaccination rate of eligible people getting the first dose. Now that means within our county, we would be eligible for increased indoor capacity at sports stadiums to 25%, increased indoor capacity at exercise facilities and gyms to 50%, and lifting the curfew on restaurants and bars. Now, just a reminder, this is Oakland County, but these metrics apply to the entire state. So Oakland County is really leading the charge. But if you have friends, family members who are on the fence, who don't know how to get a vaccine or haven't gotten there yet, be that person. This is a reminder that we said last week. I know, especially speaking to younger people, I remember what I felt like when I was, 16, 17, 18, even right out of college, where I felt like I was invincible. And, this wouldn't have been top of mind for me. I can say that really confidently when I was in that younger age bracket. It would be something that I wouldn't be opposed to, but it was something that wasn't necessarily on the top of my mind. Like, I'll get to it. I'll get around to it. So if you know somebody like that in your life, or you are that person, this is your time. I've talked to some younger people recently who have said, I don't want to take somebody else's place in line, somebody who's older or more vulnerable. So I'm going to wait. That time is done. Vaccination is open for everybody. We have enough supply for everybody. So go out and make your appointment so we can start getting towards that safe and sustained reopening. This has been a hard year for everybody. We want to get to a place where we have weddings and dinners and graduations, and we are out and seeing each other and hugging each other. And we are so close to that. So with that, if you are looking for an appointment, you still don't know how to get one or still don't know how to get a vaccine, a lot of people may not realize that vaccines.gov launched recently. And this is a fantastic tool that I am going to demonstrate for you right now in case you don't know how to find a vaccine in your area. So let's just do this for an example. You've got my screen up here. We can let's type in my zip code. So 48067, what's up, Royal Oak. We can even drop this search radius down 25 miles. That's still a pretty long drive to get to a vaccine. Let's go 5 miles, right? Anybody can get to somewhere 5 miles within their house. Click search for vaccines. Holy crap, there are so many options available around me. So this is great. We will share this. We've shared it out in the comments. We'll send it out to people, but vaccines.gov, tell your friends, tell your family. It's super easy to use. This is finally a robust tool that is going to show you everywhere. And there is no shortage of places. Look at this list to get a vaccine. And this includes the list that I looked up, includes the Moderna, the Pfizer, and the J&J, but you can search down if there's a specific type that you're looking for. If you want the J&J, the one and done vaccine, you can segment by that, but there is no excuse anymore for not getting a vaccine. So get out there, get those family members, especially those who are in that younger age bracket, so we can keep staying open and keep getting out of there, which I'm looking forward to, and I know that you are too. All right. Next up, our update from the Capitol. So some of you may have seen there was a vote up this week in the Senate around graduations. This is something that we've heard from some constituents of ours, that graduations are coming up or they're happening right now. And there was a bill that was offered to exempt high school graduations from MDHHS orders. Now, I'm going to play the video of my speech on that vote so you could hear it directly from the speech, and then we can discuss it. We can take any questions as we go. So here goes. I rise because I had a tough time with this vote. I'm going to be honest. We did a rapid fire reach out to superintendents and school board members. This has been a divisive issue since the beginning of the pandemic, where school board members reached out to me and said, we are not public health experts. Yet we are being put in these positions to have to make these calls against the advice of, or lack thereof, of public health experts for our communities. I know for a fact that all of the school districts in my community believe the science and are planning safe graduation ceremonies, whether outdoors. There were drive-through graduation ceremonies last year that were a joy to watch. And I know that it's not normal, but we have to accept the reality that this is not normal. I also lament the fact that in this room right now, we are not collectively gathering together to encourage our communities to hit that 65% vaccination rate that would lift all indoor percentage capacity limits in general. We are all working towards the same goal, and nobody doesn't want to get back to normal. Everybody wants graduation ceremonies, birthday parties, weddings, dinners. But at the end of the day, my job is ultimately to represent my district. So I will be voting yes on this bill, but it is with a heavy heart that we are not doing more to get this state and all of our communities out of this pandemic in a real way, releasing all of the federal funding that should go to our schools, passing a school aid budget by June 1st, when our schools have told us year after year after year that they need a budget to plan for this. Yes, a graduation ceremony is a great marking point in time, but it is shameful that we as a body are not doing so much more to ensure that we can get and stay back at normal for everybody. Thank you.
All right, so hopefully this goes to show, at the end of the day, I have to represent my district. And you may have seen news reports that I was the only Democrat who voted yes in support of this bill. This bill came to the floor without a committee vote. It was sent straight to the floor. So we had to very, very quickly do a rapid fire reach out to our district. So I talked to superintendents, school board members. We've heard from some of you as well. And what we've heard and why I voted yes in favor of this bill is that I know that all of our school districts believe the science and understand how serious COVID-19 is, that all of the graduation ceremonies that are being planned within our districts are safe, are outdoors, have sufficient distancing, include masking. And one of the concerns that we've heard from our district going way back to the beginning of this pandemic is that in lieu of school sanctioned events, that parents were hosting events at home, that there were kids in crowded basements that weren't wearing masks, that they were indoors, that they had limited circulation. And that's actually where we saw a significant amount of COVID spread. You might remember in Oakland County a few months ago, the fastest rise in new COVID cases was actually in that middle high school age group where it was spreading. And that wasn't coming from school, that was coming from these outside events. So the hope is that by allowing for these school sanctioned events that we know the schools can oversee, that the administrators can oversee, that we will limit some of these non-official, non-sanctioned events where parents, after a really, really rough year for kids, are trying to give their kids a way to celebrate this milestone, but in a way that is certainly not going to be as safe as what the school district can allow. Now, all of that being said, just like I said in my speech, it is embarrassing to me that this is all that we were doing in the Senate, right? Rather than looking at the safety metrics and looking at the incredible progress that we have made on vaccines right now and looking at, okay, how do we hit that next threshold to make sure that we can have these ceremonies, go out to dinner, host weddings, and that frankly, bills like this are unnecessary because we've hit a place where our communities are safe and sustainably safe. That is not what was happening in the Senate. But, in my role, I have to vote on what is presented with me. The governor is going to have to make a decision on this bill as it affects the entire state. I represent the district. So that's where I was on this bill. But I would be remiss if I didn't stand up and say, we should be doing so much more for our schools, for our communities, not just this kind of messaging bill on giving students one day to celebrate. We should be making sure we're doing everything possible to make sure our communities are safe so that kids can go back to school, back to events, that we are respecting our nurses and our frontline healthcare workers so that we don't see another spike of this thing. We are making really good progress.
But at the end of the day, I had to vote in support of my district. And I want to thank all of our school boards and our superintendents and our administrators who have taken this so seriously and have worked so hard for the past year to make sure that schools are safe for our kids and family members. So that's where we're at that. But if there are any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. And we're always happy to explain a vote or where I stand, because at the end of the day, my job is to represent you in Lansing. All right. Our next segment, we are jumping into what we call good news. This is where we want to share good news from the district that is happening, right? I think in this really politically divisive time, we need to be celebrating the good things that are happening, especially in the middle of a global pandemic. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen again so we can share some good news. I want to congratulate a new business. The Busted Bra Shop is opening a new location in Rochester Hills. This is a woman-owned business. It is badass. And one thing that's really excited about this business that I really love is it has become known for its inclusive sizing. For anybody who's a woman, and men, you may be watching this, like, I don't understand why this is important. It is tough for women to buy products that suit for them and who make us feel, confident in our space. So this is a woman-owned business. It has a ton of different sizes, a ton of different styles. They started in Detroit. They've expanded to Chicago, but they are coming back to our community in Rochester Hills. So congratulations to the team behind the Busted Bra Shop. And I will be sure to stop by when it is safe for us to do so. All right. Next up, this week, we had two big things happening this week. It was Nurses Recognition Week and Teacher Appreciation Week all at once. So huge, huge thanks to everybody who's working here. So this is a photo from the Donut Cutter, one of my favorite small businesses here in Royal Oak. Our team went out and picked up an order of donuts and coffee to send over to the nurses at Beaumont this week. So we really were proud to be able to support a small business and our nurses with a little bit of something. The apple fritters from Donut Cutter are amazing, and it's my spot where I go to get punchkis every year. So thanks to the Donut Cutter for hooking us up, and thank you to the nurses at Beaumont for everything that you do. Especially me, having spent some time there in January delivering Noah, our first little baby, into the world. And it was also Teacher Appreciation Week. So those of you watching may not know this, but we on Team McMorrow love teachers so much that we hired 2 retired teachers to join our team. So out of our staff of 5, 2 are teachers, Debbie and Lisa. So obviously we hopefully provide something that's exciting to want to come back to work in retirement. But we're really grateful for everything that they do. And I know that I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for so many teachers along the way who believed in me, who pushed me, who challenged me, and challenged me to explore new things. So if you haven't this week, thank a teacher. It's actually been pretty cool. I've kept up with some of my teachers on social media. I grew up actually in New Jersey. I'm not from Michigan originally, but it's been cool to keep up with teachers that I grew up with on Twitter and on Facebook, and check in from time to time and just thank them because I am where I am because of them. So huge thanks to all of our teachers for everything that you do every day. All right, next up, bear with us for technical things. I was trying to figure out a way to make this picture so you could really see it because it's awesome. But a Girl Scouts troop, the Robo Dragons, awesome name, created a playground communications board to help kids with severe communication delays, such as students with autism or Down syndrome, to have fun at recess. So it's a little difficult to see on the screen, but you can see that the girls created this communication system of kind of hand signals and facial movements and movements for kids to communicate, and for people who are working with kids who have communication issues to understand what they're trying to say. So this was awesome. We were really excited about this. And we want to thank the Robo Dragons for all of their work to help make our playgrounds more inclusive places for everybody. All right, another super cool thing happening in our district. 2 Troy district students won the U.S. Agency for International Development Science Champion Award for, and this is a long title, but I'm going to read the entire thing because it is important, for their project, utilizing augmented reality and idiosyncratic corded keyboard input methods to develop a ubiquitous and cost-efficient live-time transcription and speech synthesis aid for individuals with auditory and speech disabilities. I've started to dig into how this works, and one of the things that I think is really, really cool about their project, as technological and complicated as that sounds, and it is, the tech behind it is really sophisticated. What I love about what the students did was ensure that this is affordable, that it's cost effective, that it can be used around the world in places that may not necessarily have access to the resources that we do in our communities and here in the United States. So the team believed their low cost invention, less than $27, will make it more viable for use in developing countries. And it was that thoughtfulness about the hurdles to access and the cost around their invention that got them a national award from USAID. So congratulations, really exciting stuff coming out of our district. And this is a reminder, this is a new segment that we're doing every Friday. We want to share out your good news. So if you have good news that you want to share, if you know somebody who got married, opened a business, somebody who won an award, somebody who's retiring after, an amazing career in support of our community, please let us know. Send us an email and we will add it to our good news. And we want to celebrate in your celebrations and just raise awareness to all of the cool things that are happening in our district. So that's it. That's what I've got for the week. I'm going to bring on Liz, who you know from my office, who is going to take Q&A. So just as a reminder for the Q&A portion, we are live streaming these events on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And we're also going to be looking into replaying these events so that people who can't join us at 1 p.m. on Fridays will be able to watch. So because we're on multiple platforms and at different times, if you ask a question, please type your name, where you're from, just the city, and your question, and Liz will read those out loud, and I will take any questions. So this is the call out for questions. If you've got them, throw them in the chat on whatever platform you're on. Liz, welcome.
Yeah. Okay, so far I only see one question from Facebook. Joseph on Facebook asks, Senator, I'm concerned about the possibility of Michigan adopting new voter restriction legislation similar to Florida and Georgia. Any news?
Yeah, Joseph, I share your concerns. There is a 39 bill package that has been introduced in the Michigan legislature from the Republican majority to really curb voting access. And, I don't say this as somebody who's a Democrat who's trying to take a hit. This has been independently analyzed by Bridge Magazine, by the Free Press, and many others, and the Secretary of State's office. And some of the bills are direct copies from bills that were introduced in Georgia. And I think what is important to point out here is the 2020 election in Michigan was one of the most scrutinized, probably the most scrutinized election we have ever had in this state. We had canvases, audits, a statewide audit, independent audits, and there was no fraud found in the 2020 election, which, first of all, is a huge testament to every single election worker that pivoted to run this election and run this election in a secure way, in a timely way, and in a confident way with record voter turnout. Again, Oakland County had more than 75% voter turnout in 2020, which is awesome. We had more people than ever voting by absentee ballot, and it was in the middle of a pandemic. So there was a lot going on. A lot of people turned out to vote, and it was the most secure election we've ever had. And that has been verified and verified and verified over and over and over again. And the challenges to the election that have been brought via lawsuit have also been thrown out because there's absolutely no evidence to show that there's voter fraud. So in my mind, I'm in the legislature and I look at this bill package and think to myself, what problem is this trying to solve? If we had the most secure election in our state's history, why are there 39 bills to address a problem that does not exist? It is trying to create a problem and sow doubt where there shouldn't be any doubt. We should be supporting our election workers. And what we saw last term is that many clerks came to the Michigan legislature and said, we anticipate an influx of absentee ballots, of people wanting to vote via absentee ballot because of Prop 3 that we passed in 2018. So we need more time to count absentee ballots. We need more time to process and count absentee ballots. That is the one thing over and over and over that our clerks across the board, Republican, Democrat, Independent, appointed, asked for, said we need more time. That is not included anywhere in this bill package. So this bill package includes things like prohibiting municipalities from applying postage to absentee ballots. This is something Oakland County did. Applied prepaid postage to absentee ballots in the general election so that the cost of a stamp wasn't a prohibitor for you to vote. And if you are a community that has the resources to do that and your voters support that, that should not be banned. This is as ludicrous to me as the ban on plastic bags locally, right? It is overstep from the state instead of local control. There is another bill circulating that would lock boxes, so absentee ballot drop box locations at 5 p.m., which is insane to me because it completely eliminates the purpose of an absentee ballot drop box location, which, I commute 3 hours round trip to Lansing. I drive to Lansing in the morning. It's an hour and a half for me to drive back. I may not be able to get back to my local community by 5 p.m. to turn in my ballot in person. So I'm somebody who requests an absentee ballot because I just don't know if I'm going to be in town on election day. I might be at work and not able to get back to my precinct in time. The whole point of a drop box is so that you have somewhere at all hours where you can safely and securely drop off your ballot. So to answer the question, that was a long-winded way of saying, yes, I am very concerned about this bill package that is moving through the legislature right now, and will do everything in my power to stop anything that doesn't actually solve a problem. We should be expanding access to the ballot, making sure that it is a secure system, and that we have time to count absentee ballots with enough time for election workers so that they can do their job and feel like they are supported. I also have a bill that I introduced to include Election Day as a state holiday, which is one of the things that I would like to do to expand voting access, not take voting access away. So I will be watching this. We will share updates on this bill package as it comes up. I am concerned that the majority has indicated that they may try to run this as a ballot initiative with the intent that it would not actually make it to the ballot. It would go to the legislature, and then the majority would vote to approve the bill package, which would prohibit the governor from vetoing it. It's a weird loophole in how our ballot initiative language works, where effectively, if you collect enough signatures, 4% of the population can make a law against the will of the majority and against the will of the governor. So more on that, but yes, I am concerned about it. And I just fundamentally don't believe we should be pushing legislation that doesn't actually solve a problem that exists.
Very well said. Outside of that, we have someone on YouTube that agreed with you, which is very nice because usually our comments come from Twitter or
What's up, YouTube?
Facebook. So hello, YouTube. Tina just said yes in agreement. So outside of that, I don't see any other questions for now.
All right, so we will do one last call for questions. If you have any questions, type them in now. Otherwise, I am going to try something a little bit different this week and leave you with something to take into your weekend. I was very honored to be asked to give the invocation to open session this week, and I would like to share with you what I shared. This was the words from an Irish poet and Nobel laureate Seamus Heaney, a poem that really spoke to me and is actually something that fellow Irish American President Joe Biden has read and pointed to as something that inspires him as well. So with this, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Staff, please rise for this morning's invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. This morning's invocation will be given by the Honorable Senator Mallory McMorrow from the 13th District.
Good morning. This morning I wanted to read from Seamus Heaney, the Irish Nobel laureate poet, in a poem called The Cure of Troy. Human beings suffer. They torture one another. They get hurt and get hard. No poem or play or song can fully right a wrong inflicted and endured. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave, but then once in a lifetime, the longed for tidal wave of justice can rise up and hope and history rhyme. So hope for a great sea change on the far side of revenge. Believe that a further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracles and cures and healing wells. Call miracle self-healing, the utter self-revealing double take of feeling. If there's fire on the mountain or lightning in a storm, and a God speaks from the sky, that means someone is hearing the outcry and the birth cry of new life at its term. It means once in a lifetime that justice can rise up and hope and history rhyme.